Hello everybody, welcome to first look at Dicey Dungeons. My name's Tech. Today I'll be giving you my brief impressions and some thoughts about Dicey Dungeons as a whole. So Dicey Dungeons is a game by Terry Cavanagh of VVVVV and Super Hexagon fame, but I think that you might find Dicey Dungeons to be a little bit of a departure from its usual work. That being said, let's just jump right into the game and I'll explain as things goes along. So we're gonna be doing this run as the warrior because I think it's the easiest to explain. So the premise is that you're a dice. You've been transformed into a dice by this character, Lady Luck, right here, and you're trying to basically get through the dungeon. Alright, so this is the fundamental layout of each floor. There are 6 floors, the last one is the boss floor, and each floor you'll have enemies, item rooms basically, what you might think of them as, and you can navigate anywhere you wish, but you cannot pass enemies without fighting them. So let's look at our first instance of combat here. The main premise of the game is that you roll dice every turn. You have a set number indicated by this number in the bottom on the top right of your UI here, and you can basically use them for abilities. In this case, like this warrior's special ability is that he has a combat roll, which allows him to reroll 1 die 3 times per turn, which is very good, I might add. The other move that I just did just dealt the number of damage of the number of the die. Simple enough. Most of the equipment in this game, which is what these panels are called, are pretty simple. They're pretty self-explanatory. I don't think it's gonna take much time to get used to them at all. Some of them have certain restrictions or certain bonuses, like we have status effects in the game. We also have things like we have a limit break, which basically is a special ability after taking a certain amount of damage. And in this case, for the warrior, is that you can double your next attack, next action. Sorry, not necessarily an attack. And at the end of each instance of combat, you get XP and you get 1 gold, which you can spend at the shops later on. But enough about just the gameplay. What do I think about this game as a whole? I think if you are familiar with the indie game scene, I think you might recognize a striking similarity between this game and a older game. I think it's pretty old now. I'm not sure actually when it came out, but it's called Tharsis. Tharsis was a ship management game that predicated upon the use of dice. Basically, what I thought of it as was space Yahtzee, right? You had dice for a crew member, and you would use them to be assigned to various tasks. For me, this looks a lot like Tharsis. You have certain things that you have dice every turn, and you have certain limitations or certain options for you to put the dice in. But in this case, Tharsis was a brutal game. Very rarely would you ever win Tharsis because the game just kept on getting harder and harder and harder as it goes on. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, at each level up you get an extra die. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I think that definitely Dicey Dungeons isn't a hard game by any means. Most of the past runs that I've played so far, I've won them. And I think that's saying something, honestly. As a person new to the game, being able to win, like just straight up, seems a little bit strange to me. But maybe it's because I haven't gotten to the more interesting characters that require a little bit more skill to play. That's possible. But I think that you'll find that if you're looking for a very challenging game, I don't think this is on the same level of difficulty as something like Slay the Spire, which is often compared to, or even traditional, no, more popular indie games such as Binding of Isaac or Gungeon. I think those definitely have a higher difficulty level than Dicey Dungeons, and that's good and bad, because I think the fact that it isn't so difficult is definitely linked to what the developer was trying to achieve here. I think Terry Cavanagh was very purposeful in ensuring that Dicey Dungeons was an accessible indie game, not something you see very often. I mean, just judging from the art style, the music, the soundtrack is amazing, by the way. It's very cartoony. It's very cutesy, if you would allow me to say that. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think it definitely is a lot easier to get into. It's not kind of like... There's some good humor in this dialogue as well. Very nice writing. It's a lot more accessible to people who may not be so familiar with kind of the grind of getting better at roguelites. Those things like Slay the Spire, you very rarely do you ever see someone actually pass it on the first try. But in this game, I think that will be extremely common. And I think there's those pros and cons to that, you know? Personally, I prefer a little bit of a more difficult game than what Dicey Dungeons is currently offering, but it's still definitely very fun. I'm not going to deny that at all. The mechanics are very sound. There's more than a little bit of randomness involved, obviously. So maybe all my experiences so far has been variance. But yeah, I think this Dicey Dungeons was created in mind for accessibility. You have a really nice cutesy art style combined with ease of use, combined with simple mechanics. This, and at least in the beginning, where I am right now, you are able to kind of progress in the game, unlock the characters fast, and generally have a good time. And in the beginning, the skill curve isn't as sharp. And I think that's definitely a good thing for getting people into the game. I no doubt in my mind. Alright. But so, just pros and cons, you know, pros and cons. But I must say that the idea of having a game predicated upon dice rolls, while it's not new, it's something we definitely haven't seen in a little while. As I mentioned, the last instance of this, I think, is Tharsis. And it's fun. It's an interesting way to play the game, design a game as well. And whether or not you like the game, I think you do have to give Terry Cavanagh some credit for trying out something new. For kind of looking at the roguelite deck building kind of environment that we're in right now and saying, what can I do different? And that's really what this is. This is an experimentation. A departure from the norm. And it's a good game. I think he's executed it very well. You have good graphics, excellent sound design, good mechanics too. But personally, for me, it doesn't have the longevity. I feel like it's too early. Okay, obviously it's too early to tell, but I think it doesn't quite have the longevity that a game like Gungeon, Slay the Spire, or even or even Binding of Isaac, which has been around for years now. I don't think it has the same kind of longevity as those games, unfortunately. But we'll see. Maybe it'll prove me wrong, and I'll be happy to be proven wrong here. But that's enough about talking about the cons of the game. Pros. The game, while it may not, balance in a dice game is something that is extremely hard to find. And I think that in this case, balance is there. It might be weighted slightly towards the player, but I mean, in order to prevent things from becoming absolutely insane, like in terms of Darkest Dungeon style, like harshness of the game, I think this is a good balance if you're looking for accessibility. And the other characters have very interesting playstyles, like the thief copies an ability from the enemy, which is, I think, is a kind of an ingenious randomization feature there. The robot, the other character that I've unlocked so far, it randomizes the dice rolls by having a meter that you try and fill up and like basically play blackjack with. But yeah, I think definitely this game is by no means a bad game. It's a good game, a very good game. Whether it's something for everybody, I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out though. But as of right now, it does seem a little not unfinished, that's not the right word. But it seems like it doesn't quite have like the kind of immediate wow factor of things like Gungeon, where it doesn't quite have the same skill ceiling as those kind of games, which is fine. In terms of pricing, for a sub $15 game, it's really not bad at all. You're paying definitely for the craftsmanship and the design that went into the game, and I think it's a worthy purchase. For definitely, I can see myself playing this for even as much as I said that it might not have the replayability of something like Gungeon. I can definitely see myself playing this for a pretty long time to come, for at least dozens of hours. But it's gonna be interesting. We'll see. We'll see where the game goes in the future and what kind of longevity it'll have after this. I'll cut to some of my other footage from previous runs over here, just so you can take a look at what the boss fight kind of looks like. And I think then you'll see that, yeah, Dicey Dungeons, the difficulty, you see what I mean when I say the difficulty isn't that high. But overall, I think Dicey Dungeons is a good game. It's really well executed with a great art style, great soundtrack, and definite replayability with the multiple characters and the roguelike construction. I'm sure there are tons of interactions I haven't even begin to think about in the game. And there's definitely a higher skill ceiling than I probably think there is, with the way that you can arrange backpacks, what you should prioritize for upgrading, what you shouldn't. The same way that Slay the Spire had that kind of extra added level of difficulty that no one really expected from it at first. But I think that Dicey Dungeons, first and foremost, Terry Cavanagh made it to be accessible. And I think that if you're familiar with the indie scene, then you might be experiencing some of the quirks that I have in the game. But otherwise, I think it's an absolutely fantastic game that plays with the idea of randomness and how you can manipulate randomness into actually working for your advantage. And if you're interested in a mix between Tharsis, Darkest Dungeon, Slay the Spire, and Pixel Dungeon maybe? I don't know if you've heard of that mobile game. Then please do check Dicey Dungeons out on Steam. It's available now. There's a 10% offer until the 21st of August. So if you're interested, go pick it up and play it. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Tech. I produce daily gaming content. You'll see things like Enter the Gungeon, FTL on my YouTube channel. And please, if you're interested, subscribe for that. Take a look. And if you would leave a like on this video and a comment, it'd be very helpful. Thank you so much if you did. And I'll catch you all next time.